Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel and thanks for joining me. I'm Kristen from Cloud Art and I'm back with another Paint With Me tutorial. In today's video, I'll be using authentic Limewash paint by the brand Color Atelier in the very soft and dreamy shade Muse. All of the products that I'm using have been linked in the video description section under my campsite link. Before we get started, I do want to mention, if you're not already, please subscribe to my channel. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and all of my available pieces for sale can be found in my Etsy shop. So as you can see, this vintage highboy chest by Thomasville was still in great condition. It was gifted to me by a friend who was redoing her bedroom and no longer had use for it. The only real issue is cosmetic. The yellowing of the white paint is to be expected over time, but the dovetail joints were still 100% intact, and after 46 years didn't even have to be re-glued anywhere. That's how you know you have a quality piece of furniture. Before I got to work, I removed the hardware and, like always, placed it in a sealed bag, otherwise I will lose it. I'm using my one-step cleaner crud cutter and my latest favorite product here. I grabbed these small sponges recently at the food store that were made by Scrub Daddy. I love my regular size round Scrub Daddy sponges. I think we all do, but with these being a little bit smaller in size and rectangular, I thought they'd be easy to hold on to and great for cleaning furniture, and I was right. The rough side was perfect for removing the dirt and grime. It's not abrasive, it doesn't scratch, and even though my crud cutter is the type that you don't have to rinse off, this chest sat in my garage for almost a year and it was filthy, so I wanted to give it an extra rinse with water. The sponge side soaked up all the excess water and it made cleaning so much easier. I only had to use one paper towel to dry it off, so yay for Sponge Daddy and this great product that I will definitely be using from now on. I wanted to show y'all here that even the best manufacturers make mistakes. As you can see, there's no screw or no hole anywhere in sight on this drawer track. It's just hanging out here and I had to drill a new hole to secure it. And then I found these guys. Okay, so maybe I fibbed. I did, after all, need to do one small repair. I'm using my Gorilla Wood Glue and a craft stick to apply it because Gorilla Glue expands and is the gift that keeps on giving if you're not careful. After I secured it and wiped the glue off, I used my DeWalt clamps to secure it and left it overnight to set up. So since there was a little bit of crackling on the glaze on the top of the dresser that the manufacturer used, I wanted to smooth it out just a little bit. And I used my dry deck spackle, added some water, stirred it well, and used my zebra chiseled wedge brush to apply it because it holds a ton. And I have no idea what happened to the footage, but I sanded the entire piece with 120 sandpaper. I hand sanded it with a sanding pad. And I even sprayed the entire piece with shellac just because I didn't want any surprises. I do that a lot. Didn't want any bleed through or stains coming through. And I covered it up with, this is my first coat of spackle. I did manage to find some footage after all of me sanding each drawer. Just preparing it for shellac, I'm scuffing it with 120 sandpaper. When the drawers were dry, I used my Zinsser Bullseye 123 primer. I love that the weather is nice and I can do this outside because spraying primer sure beats painting it on. I wasn't as lucky with the dresser. Didn't get to take that outside, so I'm just brushing the primer on with a brush. I use Kills, and this, of course, is after the 2 coats of spackle had dried. So I'm just brushing the primer on top of the spackle, and I'm using a chip brush. This is water-based primer, but a lot of times I use the oil-based shellac and it's not very forgiving with the brushes. So just using a chip brush and using a sponge roller to smooth it out. While the primer was drying inside, I decided to take these drawer pulls outside to clean them, and I used my good old Krug cutter and a toothbrush because I am extra. As I'm hosing these off and cleaning them up, I realize I can't find my daughter, and I knew she came outside with me. It's not that big of a deal because she's old enough to play by herself, but I'm calling her name, she's not answering, and then I look over and I see the wheelbarrow moving. We finally reached the good part. Here it is, the color reveal, Muse. It is the perfect ballet pink. It looks like a ballet slipper. But lime paint is a lot different than chalk paint. It's very watery. You constantly have to stir it. I constantly stir my chalk paint, but still, the texture is very different. And here I am applying it in the crosshatch pattern, the X's, the clouds. I'm using my black brush to apply it. Love this brush. I love this technique because you don't have to be perfect. The idea is to give it texture. So it can be a little bit messy, and that's what it's supposed to look like. Here's what happened when I came back the next day after I had completely covered this stuff up. It reminds me of milk paint. Maybe it would have done better if I put it in the fridge. So at the last minute, I felt like the dresser needed something. Typical me. And so I grabbed these coffee filters, painted some of them in Burlap by Benjamin Moore. It's a brown shade. Added a little bit of BB Frosh powder to it. And then I left some of them just white. I scrunched them up into a round shape, kind of looked like a flower, and made random cuts. I didn't want them to look perfect. I wanted them to look kind of whimsical and worn. I sprayed a little bit of bleach stone spray on top of the white ones and the brown ones as well. They were really thin, especially the white ones, because they didn't have the paint on them, so I had to build them up with so many layers of Mod Podge. After I had done probably about 5 layers on both sides for each one. It was finally time to secure them on, and I used Mod Podge to secure them. I just put them down one by one, and after they had dried onto the drawer, I Mod Podged over them, and I did so many layers of this just so that it would be secure. You can't even see it. The Mod Podge is invisible. It blends in perfectly around the edges, and I was so happy with the results, even though it took me a million years.
One eternity later.
Unlike several of the chalk paints out there, Limewash definitely needs to be sealed and protected. So here I am heating up my wax with my hairdryer so that it goes on smooth. And if you're not using a hairdryer in your shop, or a leaf blower to remove all of the debris from your dressers and other furniture, then are you really a refinisher? Here is one last look before the final reveal. I'm just starting out with YouTube, so if there's anything I can do to make my videos more appealing, or if there are any styles that you'd like to see me do, please leave me a comment with any suggestions. And if you enjoyed the video and learned something new, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Hope you love this piece as much as I do, and thanks for watching.